Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to what is undoubtedly the most anticipated pre-match analysis in the world of Asian tennis this week. We are standing on the precipice of history. We are hours away from a collision that is not just a tennis match. It is a cultural event, a clash of generations, and a battle for redemption that has sent shockwaves all the way from the clay courts of Paris to the hard courts of Manila. The headline you are seeing everywhere is true. France is in shock. The tennis establishment is buzzing, and the Philippines is holding its breath. We are talking, of course, about the Philippine Open and specifically the blockbuster showdown that is every analyst, every pundit, and every fan on the edge of their seat. The pride of the Philippines, the Grand Slam junior champion, Alexandra Eala, taking on a French Renaissance woman, the four-time ITF champion, the dangerous, the unpredictable Léolia Jeanjean. Why is this match causing such a stir? Why is the French Tennis Federation looking at a seemingly routine bracket in the Philippines with such trepidation? Because the last time these two met, the script didn't just get flipped, it got shredded. We all remember the W60 in Nantes. We remember the shock on the faces of the home crowd in France when a young Filipino left-hander walked into Jeanjean's backyard and dismantled a local favorite with a ferocity that belied her teenage years. That match ended in a retirement, yes, but the psychological damage was done long before the final handshake. Eala didn't just win. She announced her arrival as a giant killer. Now, the tables have turned. The venue has shifted. We are no longer in the cool, controlled climate of Europe. We are in the heat, the humidity, and the deafening noise of the Philippine Open. For Léolia Jeanjean, this is a mission of vengeance. This is about restoring order. This is about a veteran, a woman who has rebuilt her career from the ashes of injury and collegiate obscurity to become a top-tier professional. Proving that she cannot be pushed around by the next General Jeanjean comes into this match carrying the weight of 4 ITF titles, a resume that screams resilience, and a game style so crafty, so technically diverse, that it can unravel even the most powerful hitters on tour. She is not just coming to play. She is coming to silence the crowd. She is coming to prove that the shock in Nantes was a fluke, an aberration, a momentary lapse in the natural order of things. But she runs into an Alexandra Eala, who is no longer just a prospect. Eala has evolved. Since that meeting in France, we have seen the Rafa Nadal Academy graduate add layers to her game that are terrifying for her opponents. The serve is heavier. The forehand is more precise. The mental armor is thicker. Eala is playing on home soil, a factor that cannot be overstated. In the history of sports, the home court advantage is often a cliché, but in the Philippines, it is a tangible, physical force. When Alex Eala steps onto that court, she does not step alone. She carries the hopes of millions. She carries the momentum of a nation starving for a global tennis icon. And the pressure? She eats it for breakfast. Tonight, we are not just previewing a match. We are dissecting a phenomenon. We are looking at the shock of France not just as a headline, but as a strategic reality. How does Jeanjean's slice defense hold up against the Eala topspin in 85% humidity? How does Eala's aggressive baseline hugging cope with Jeanjean's drop shot artistry? This is a match of contrasting styles, contrasting narratives, and contrasting destinies. On one side, you have the French technician, the Mozart of the late bloomers, a player who was a prodigy, lost it all, and fought her way back to the main stages of Roland Garros and Wimbledon. Jeanjean is fighting for relevance, for ranking points, and for pride. On the other side, you have the Filipino phenom, the lefty warrior who has been groomed for greatness since she first picked up a racket. Eala is fighting for legitimacy, for her first major title on home soil, and to prove that she is ready to transcend the ITF circuit and become a permanent fixture in the WTA elite. The shockwaves are real. The stakes are incredibly high. The atmosphere is electric. Over the next hour, we are going deep. We will break down the biomechanics, the psychological profiles, the court surface speeds, and the historical data that defines this rivalry. We will tell you why the French media is nervous and why the Filipino fans are daring to dream. Buckle up, tennis fans. The Philippine Open is about to witness a war. This is Eala. This is Jeanjean. And this is the deep dive you've been waiting for. I will provide you with a news title and some key news segments. Please create a highly professional, extensive news script for a YouTube deep dive. We are moving past the headlines now. We are putting the magnifying glass on the details that casual observers miss, but which will ultimately decide the outcome of this titanic struggle. To understand where we are going, we must understand who these warriors are. Let's begin with the context of the shock. When we say, all of France shocked, we are referring to a very specific disruption in the tennis hierarchy. France is a tennis superpower. They have a system, a federation, and a pipeline of talent that is the envy of the world. Léolia Jeanjean was supposed to be one of their golden children. Her story is one of the most compelling in modern tennis. A top junior prodigy in her early years, she was often compared to the greats of French tennis. But destiny had other plans. A severe knee injury sidetracked her career before it even truly began. For years, she disappeared from the pro radar. She went to United States, played collegiate tennis at Baylor, Arkansas, and Lynn University. She dominated the college circuit, yes, but in the eyes of the French Federation, she was off the map. Then came the return, the comeback. In her late 20s, Jeanjean stormed back onto the tour. She didn't just come back to participate. She came back to win. She racked up ITF titles, 4 of them, to be exact. She made the 3rd round of the French Open, beating a top 10 player in Karolina Pliskova. She proved that talent doesn't expire. She became a symbol of second chances in France. So, when she faces a teenager from the Philippines, the expectation from the European perspective is that experience wins. The shock comes from the realization that the hierarchy is fragile. It comes from a realization that Alexandra Eala represents a new world order in tennis, one where the Southeast Asian powerhouse is rising to challenge the European establishment. Let's analyze the protagonist of this drama, Alexandra Eala. To understand Eala's game, you have to look at her education. She is not just a product of talent. She is a product of the Rafa Nadal Academy. This is crucial. When you watch Eala play, you don't just see a Filipino player. You see the DNA of Spanish tennis. You see the heavy topspin. You see the never-say-die attitude. You see the lefty advantage that Nadal himself made famous. Eala's game is built on controlled aggression. She likes to dictate points from the baseline. Her forehand is her weapon of mass destruction. It's a whip-like shot that generates tremendous RPMs, revolutions per minute. In this upcoming match at the Philippine Open, Eala's forehand is going to be the barometer. If she is hitting her spots, if she is pushing Jeanjean behind the baseline, Eala wins. It sounds simple, but the execution is complex. Eala has a tendency, like many young aggressive players, to over it when under pressure. She goes for the lines. Against a player like Jeanjean, who is a master defense, this is a dangerous game. But Eala has improved her patience. In the last 6 months, we have seen her construct points with more maturity. She is no longer just trying to hit winners on ball 3. She is willing to grind to ball 9, ball 10, waiting for the opening. The physical conditioning of Eala has also transformed. She looks stronger. Her movement, particularly her lateral movement, has sharpened. This is vital because Jeanjean is going to make her run. Jeanjean is not going to give Eala rhythm. Jeanjean is going to throw junk balls, slices, moon balls, and drop shots. Eala's ability to move forward, to bend her knees, and to generate power from low positions will be tested like never before. Now, let's pivot to the antagonist, the 4x ITF champion, Léolia Jeanjean. If Eala is fire, Jeanjean is water. She is fluid. She is adaptable. She is incredibly hard to grasp. Jeanjean's game is a throwback. In an era of power tennis, she brings variety. Her backhand slice is one of the best on the ITF circuit, and arguably competitive at the WTA level. It stays low. It skids. On the hard courts of the Philippine Open, which can play fast but also take spin well, that slice is going to be a nightmare. Jeanjean's strategy will be to disrupt Eala's strike zone. Eala, like most power hitters, likes the ball right in the hip pocket, around waist height. That is where she can unleash the leverage of her lefty forehand. Jeanjean knows this. She will not give Eala that ball. She will slice it to Eala's ankles. She will loop it high to Eala's shoulders. She will bring Eala into the net, an area where Eala is improving, but is not yet fully comfortable. The 4x ITF champion moniker is not just a title. It is a warning. It means Jeanjean knows how to close. She knows how to navigate a tournament week. She knows how to manage her body and her energy. She has been in finals. She has held trophies. That experience is intangible but invaluable. When the score is 4-4 in the third set, and the crowd is screaming and the pressure is suffocating, Jeanjean has a memory bank of those 4 titles to draw upon. She knows she can win. Eala is still building that repository of championship belief at this level. Let's talk about the head-to-head, the W60 Nantes match. We cannot analyze this upcoming Philippine Open clash without dissecting Nantes. That match was played indoors, on hard court, conditions that theoretically favored Jeanjean's flat hitting and timing. Yet, Eala dominated. She won the first set 6-4 and was up 2-0 when Jeanjean retired. What did we learn from those 12 games? We learned that Eala's weight of shot bothers Jeanjean. Jeanjean struggled to handle the heavy lefty spin coming into her backhand. She couldn't dictate. She was constantly on the back foot, forced to defend. Eala took time away from her. However, we must be fair. Jeanjean retired. She was not at 100%. The French camp will argue that the Nantes result is an asterisk. They will say, you didn't beat a healthy Léolia. This adds spice to the Philippine Open preview. Jeanjean feels she has a point to prove. She wants to show that a fully fit Léolia Jeanjean is a different beast. Eala, conversely, wants to prove that the retirement didn't matter, that she was winning anyway and she will win again. And then there's the X factor, the Philippine Open atmosphere. Tennis is usually a polite sport. Quiet, please. Thank you. Not here. Not in Manila. The Philippine Open atmosphere is closer to a Davis Cup tie or a college basketball game. The fans are knowledgeable, they are passionate, and they are loud. For Alexandra Eala, this is fuel. She feeds off the energy. She plays with her heart on her sleeve. When she hits a winner and pumps her fist, and the crowd erupts, she grows 2 inches taller. For Léolia Jeanjean, this environment is hostile. She is walking into the lion's den. France has passionate crowds. Yes, Roland Garros can be brutal. But being the target of that passion is different. How will she handle the noise? Will she get frustrated? Will she engage with the crowd? Or will she try to block it out? If Jeanjean lets the crowd get under her skin, the match is over. Eala will ride that wave to victory. But if Jeanjean can use the crowd against Eala, if she can slow the play down, frustrate the audience, and make Eala feel the pressure of needing to please the fans, then the dynamic shifts. There's a tremendous amount of pressure on Eala here. Number 1, the serve. Eala's serve is improved, but it is still attackable. Jeanjean is a very smart returner. If Eala's first serve percentage drops below 60%, she is in trouble. Jeanjean will step in and punish the second serve, or use it to start the point on her terms with a deeper turn or a drop shot. Eala needs free points on her serve. She needs to hit her spots, use the lefty slice out wide on the ad court, and jam Jeanjean on the body. Number 2, the rally length. If the point are short under 4 shots, advantage Eala. Her power ends points. If the points go long, over 8 shots, the pendulum swings to Jeanjean. Jeanjean's consistency and variety wear players down. Eala must be aggressive, but controlled. She needs to finish points at the net when the opportunity arises, rather than getting sucked into a baseline war of attrition. Number 3, the mental battle. Eala is young. She can get emotional. She can get down on herself. Jeanjean is experienced. She is stoic. If Jeanjean goes up a break early, how does Eala respond? Does she panic? Or does she stick to the game plan? Conversely, if Eala blitzes the first set, does Jeanjean have the stomach for a fight, or will she fold like she did in Nantes? Why does this match matter beyond the Philippines and France? Because it is a microcosm of the current state of women's tennis. It is a story of the globalization of the sport. It is the story of the rise of Asian tennis. A win for Eala here validates the investment, the training, and the hype. It signals that she is ready for the top 100, the top 50. It sends a message to the locker room that she is a threat on any surface, in any country. For Jeanjean, A win here is about survival and resurgence. It is about proving that the classic, crafty style of play still has a place in the modern power game. It is about showing that you can take a detour through the American college system and still compete with the prodigies of the academies. As we analyze the practice footage coming out of the venue, Eala looks sharp. She is hitting the ball with incredible pop. Her team, led by her father and her coaches from the academy, looks relaxed but focused. They know the game plan. They know Jeanjean's weaknesses. They know that Jeanjean struggles with high balls to the backhand. They know that Jeanjean can be rushed. But Jeanjean is not hiding. She has been seen practicing her return of serve relentlessly. She knows the lefty serve is the key. She has been practicing with lefty sparring partners. She is doing her homework. This is not a vacation for her. This is a business trip. She wants that trophy. She wants to be the villain who spoils the party. We also have to consider the ranking implications. Both players are fighting for positioning. Every ITF title, every round in a Challenger or Open, counts towards Grand Slam qualifying spots. For Eala, moving up the rankings is essential to avoid the grueling qualifying rounds of the majors. A win here, a title here, propels her closer to direct acceptance. The points on offer at the Philippine Open are massive for her trajectory. So, when you strip away the lights, the crowd, and the hype, it comes down to two women and a tennis court. One fighting for the future, one fighting for the present. One wielding a sword of power, one wielding a shield of craft. The Philippine Open preview is not just about who hits the ball harder. It's about who wants it more. It's about who can handle the moment. The French media might be shocked that their champion is the underdog, but the stats don't lie. Eala has the momentum. She has the surface. She has a crowd. But Jeanjean has the guile. Do not count her out. Do not think this will be a walkover. This will be a chess match played at 100 miles per hour. So, what is the verdict? Where do we land after dissecting every angle, every stat, and every narrative thread of this impending collision? The reality is this. The Philippine Open is about to host a match that will define the early season for both Alexandra Eala and Léolia Jeanjean. For the fans in Manila, this is a celebration of their tennis queen. It is a chance to see world-class tennis on their doorstep, to witness the evolution of a superstar in real time. But for Alex Eala, the celebration must wait. She has a job to do. She has a puzzle to solve. And that puzzle is named Léolia Jeanjean. We have talked about the shock of France, but perhaps the biggest shock is yet to come. Perhaps the shock will be just how dominant Eala has become. Or perhaps the shock will be a masterclass in veteran resilience from Jeanjean, silencing the Manila crowd and reminding the world that experience is a dangerous weapon. My final analysis is this. Expect a war. Do not expect a straight sets blowout. Expect momentum shifts. Expect drama. Expect Jeanjean to use every trick in the book to slow Eala down. And expect Eala to fight for every inch of that court with the pride of the nation on her shoulders. If Eala stays calm, if she trusts her forehand and respects Jeanjean's defense without fearing it, she wins. She has the firepower. She has the higher ceiling. But if she hesitates, if she lets the occasion get to her, Jeanjean is waiting in the weeds, ready to strike. This is why we love the sport. Nothing is scripted. The rankings don't matter once the first ball is served. History doesn't matter. All that matters is who wins the last point. To everyone watching around the world, whether you are tuning in from Paris, from Manila, or from anywhere in between, do not miss this match. Set your alarms. Clear your schedules. Because when Alexandra Eala and Léolia Jeanjean walk onto that court at the Philippine Open, they aren't just playing tennis. They are writing the next chapter of their legacies. France is watching. The Philippines is praying. And the world is waiting. I'm your name/channel name, and this has been your deep dive preview of the Philippine Open Showdown. We will be covering every serve, every volley, and every moment of this tournament right here on this channel. Here is what I want you to do next. Go to the comment section right now and tell me your prediction. Does Alex Eala defend her home turf and blow the roof off the stadium? Or does Léolia Jeanjean pull off the upset and shock the world again? I want to see your score predictions. I want to see your analysis. Let's get the debate started. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, because the moment this match ends, we will be back with a full post-match breakdown, analyzing every key point and reaction. You do not want to miss it. Thank you for watching. The stage is set. The players are ready. Let's play tennis. Good night, and see you on the court.